Music. From movies to video games, music works hand in hand with elements like the narrative, visuals, and sound effects to really flesh out a piece of art. And sometimes those songs may be so good that they're played outside of their respective mediums. A Punch-Out fan trying to work out might play the inspiring Countdown track. A Xenoblade fan vibing with friends in a Discord call might play some tranquil tunes from the blood-boiling spirit Crucible Elpys. A Pokemon fan that wants to twerk until their hips dislocate might blast the Galar Gym theme. But if you hand a Splatoon fan the aux cord, yeah, you don't know what the heck you're gonna get. Splatoon music is a funny little thing to talk about. Video game music as a whole is starting to be more recognized for the amazing gems that stem from it. But if you show someone who's on the fence about the genre of Splatoon 3 music as an example, they'll probably leave the room and expeditiously call the emergency hotline on you. Heck, you could play it for someone who's familiar with Splatoon 3 music and they'd still call someone to take you away. And that's not because Splatoon 3's music is bad by any means. I'm rightfully a fan of it, as are millions of other people. It's just that some parts of Splatoon's music is very different when compared to other songs. Whereas other games have choirs and orchestras, some of Splatoon's music sounds like someone's head got pushed into a sink full of water and the screams they uttered were recorded. But once you get past that initial barrier of entry, it's pretty good. Now, I can't talk about Splatoon music without first bringing up the battle songs. At the very beginning of the game's history, we already had around 10 songs to listen to in battle. We had hits from the trailers like Clickbait and Splattack, as well as entirely new ones like Headhammer and Paint Scraper. If you were a guitar fan or a guitar-using cover artist for Splatoon songs, you were absolutely cooking during this period of the game. You were also having a good time if you enjoyed Pearl blowing out your eardrums as you built up your special. This is the kind of stuff I'm talking about in Splatoon songs that would get you sent to the loony bin if people hear you listening to. The fun thing about these bands is they follow the lore of the Splatoon timeline continuum thing. Pearl had won the Chaos Resort or Splatfest, so she and Marina started collaborating with different bands and trying out different types of music. Squid Squad, the original band of Splattack, broke up, so another one had to cover the song. And probably more things that I really don't want to research that far into. Now, if you're a fan of freeform jazz, then the Sizzle Season 2023's got your back. Now, it may be because I played saxophone 6 years ago, but this is my favorite battle music in Splatoon, hands down. Not only does this music perfectly fit the wacky, chaotic atmosphere of Splatoon's matches, with players constantly moving around the map, getting splats and doing the objective, but it does so in a way that none of the other songs do. Tosh, the baritone saxophonist, I hardly know anything about you, but I'm ready to get on one knee and marry you. Tao Blue, your hair is looking absolutely beautiful. And Yoko, you play that trumpet so well, you remind me of the active hearing loss I suffered as a saxophonist while sitting 10 inches in front of the trumpet section. In Drizzle Season 2023, we were blessed with H2O. This band was made up of the Octoling vocalist Lionel and the anchor choral Corey. His name's Corey because, you know, like Corey, choral, it's like very close. Compared to previous bands, their music doesn't really add anything new. That's because they both originated from Inkopolis, and their claim to fame was refurbishing the simpler Inkopolis rock from past games and making the denizens of the Splatlands fall in love with it. The rock style of these songs gives off a more fun day at the beach kind of vibe, which is kind of funny because their music was released when a lot of people were going back to school. And lastly, an old favorite returned with the Chirpy Chips during Chill Season 2023. Now Harmony's a stand-in retail employee by day and a rock star by night. This band was already in Splatoon 1 and Splatoon 2 and was known for their chiptune style rock music. This was the same band who made hits like Split and Splat and Blitz It. So when veterans heard of their return, they knew they were getting some bangers. And newcomers got introduced to their music through the Chill Season trailer and Harmony's Acid Trip? I still don't understand this part of the trailer. What the f— Now that the battle music is out of the way, let's talk about the single player songs. If you play songs like Seep and Destroy, you'll either get people jamming out with you or looking at you wondering, is that someone burping in that song? Oh no. The battle songs are relatively easy to listen to with no prior knowledge of Splatoon, but for these songs, you'll need some context. The single player music is designed to sound weird, different, and alien-like because of the enemies that you end up fighting in it. These aren't the same Inklings and Octolings you know from Splatsville, these are Octarians that have taken a sudden interest in L'Oreal. The music and levels is specifically catered to whatever wacky challenge the campaign wants you to do. In the Zipcaster only levels, there's this intentionally over-the-top track with one guy singing like he's at the opera house. It sounds like something in an off-brand superhero film, which makes sense since you're literally an off-brand Spider-Man. You ain't Spider-Man, you're Arachno, bro. God, be sure to subscribe for more awesome off-brand names like this. Then there's the overworld music in Alterna, which gives you the feeling that this is a lost society that you're exploring. In the earlier sites, there's higher pitched music with a peppy tempo that makes you feel excited and ready to explore this new place that you fell into from the crater. But then as time goes on and you look more into the deep lore scattered across the different sites, the music comes off as more melancholic, but still having a glint of hope in them, similar to how the previous inhabitants of Alterna had felt. These types of single player songs are the ones you can probably play without people looking at you you like you're crazy. And that's probably because they were written by actual humans. Okay, well, all Splatoon's tracks are written by humans. I mean like the humans in the universe, like the humans that were trapped in Alterna. They wrote songs like the City-esque theme for the Happiness Research Lab and the Rusty theme for the Landfill Dreamland. And all of them make for decent tracks in a relaxing playlist. Your family will think you're listening to lo-fi or vaporwave or something, but you're actually listening to Splatoon songs and crying to yourself about the lore of this game that is way too dark for a game about squid kids and octo children shooting pain at each other for 3 to 5 minutes. God, talking about Splatoon lore always gets deep. I don't know if I can even properly transition off of that. You know what, screw it, let's just talk about the apocalypse! With every Salmon Run match I play, I am that much more confident that one of the Splatoon musicians just took their most disobedient kid to work that day and slid his face across some cello strings for a few minutes. Salmon Run has the most chaotic music in Splatoon 3 that really shouldn't work with all the random stuff going on in them, but it just kinda does. The music is designed to raise your blood pressure as much as possible over the course of 100 seconds, and oh boy, it succeeds with flying colors. Like the progression in Fishing Frenzy starts off with some inkling or electronic sounds and then slowly turns into a siren repeatedly for the first 20 seconds of the song. And then, as with most of them, it's filled with these random drum beats and electronic sounds that really make you feel like all heck is breaking loose. And sometimes, just as that rush of adrenaline dies down as you barely pass wave 3, this happens. You just cooled down from a super intense wave 3 only to have one of these 3 monstrosities scream at you and lock you in for another 100 seconds listening to the most haywire song of them all, Toxic Anoxic. In this song, everything is playing at the same time, and any instance where some semblance of a melody rises is deflated mere seconds later. This song is so unorganized, it's almost as unorganized as your teammates' positions when fighting Joe. Last but not least, there's the idol songs. These are my personal favorites in the whole franchise. The Squid Sisters are awesome, Off the Hook is awesome, Deep Cut is awesome, they're all awesome. The Squid Sisters have been getting dragged around the Splatoon franchise like Fox McCloud in Subspace Emissary. I'm telling you, in Splatoon 7, Marie's gonna be in a convalescent home needing a walker to move, and the higher-ups are still gonna bring her out to dance to City of Color for 48 hours straight. In Splatoon 1, they were the only idols we had. In Splatoon 2, they were doing collabs with Off the Hook. And in Splatoon 3, they're making songs and collabs with Deep Cut. At the expense of Big Man's health, but still. They've made hits like Liquid Sunshine that slowly drove everyone insane during the Cryptid Splatfest from how much it was played in battles, and Tomorrow's Nostalgia Today that plays in the second half of Splatfest if you have the Splatoon 3 paid DLC. Even after all these years later, these two still make fire songs. I gotta say though, Deep Cut is really giving them some competition with the sheer amount of songs they're producing. Their music is a cultural mixture of Japanese, Indian, and Brazilian songs. On top of the already banger default Splatfest songs like Till Death Do Us Part, they regularly release new songs and remixes of old ones. Like, you know Anarchy Rainbow, the Plaza song that we've all listened to way too many times? They remixed that song for both Splatoween and Frostyfest. In the Splatoween version, there's a deeper note progression at the start of the song that throws you off for the first couple listens but sounds perfectly sinister afterward. Then they introduce organs into the song, have the gang do sinister laughs, and most notably, Fry sounds like she says, "If Fry has 1,000,000 fans, I am one of them. If Fry has one fan, that fan is ME!" In the Frostyfest version, it has a much more wintry theme with the added bells and electronic sounds to it. It's the little things like this that really bring an extra layer of life to Splatfest, and is why players were asking for these iterations of Splatfest to return. I'll be up to see Big Man dressed like this any day. In the department of new songs, they're popping off too. For example, Big Betrayal is a song where I'm sorry. The backstory of this song just gets me every time. So you know a minute ago I was talking about the Squid Sisters' new song, Liquid Sunshine? In case you didn't notice, one of the vocalists for Liquid Sunshine was Ian BGM. If you rearrange the characters in the name and spend a good nanosecond looking at the photo of them, you can tell that that's just Big Man. So you want to know what Shiver and Fry did when they found out he was collabing with other bands? They mugged the crap out of him because they cared so much about their image and money. And the cherry on top is that Big Man makes the beats for the band. So this is literally a glorified diss track on one of their own members that said dissed member put together. But when dawn appears and the Splatfest is over, the most enchanting Deep Cut song starts playing. Being on the same tier for me is Maritime Memory. During the Splatfest, a lot of chaos happens as people are fighting to prove that their team is superior. A lot of words are said about people on other teams, and emotions are super high from all the tense battles and mid-Splatfest results. But once that fest ends, and the 2 hours before the results roll around, you are blessed with this melody. One that feels like it just peels all of those stresses away and reminds you it's all in fun. You tried your best, fought your hardest, and played your heart out. Whatever the result, just be happy that events like this bring the most hardcore and casual players out for a couple days. And whether this is your first fest and you have no clue what you were doing, or you've been here since Cats vs. Dogs, Thanks for playing. Whew. In case you couldn't tell, I love Splatoon music. You can get past the initially jarring parts that might make some of you want to drive off a cliff. There's really something there. And on the topic of Splatfest, check out this video where I gawk at the absolutely crazy things that were witnessed in past Splatfests. I'll see you all next time.